Welcome to the Healing Hour. I am your host, Athena Rodrigues, and we'll be having some healing conversations.
Are going to give us some insight on how we can make those smart investments. Are y'all ready?
Absolutely.
Yes. So how we're going to structure this podcast today, I'm going to ask y'all some questions. And basically, if you feel comfortable answering them, then answer them. If you want to pass, you can pass it into the next question. But everyone has a chance to speak. And so now I want you all to introduce yourselves by name and what you do in the real estate industry. So we'll start off with Shaka.
Sweet, love to go first. My name's Shaka Daniel. I'm a investor and broker and wholesaler. So currently I have a wholesale brokerage. We do about 15 to 30 transactions on the wholesale side every single month. And I also flip houses, co-own a 30-door rental portfolio. Been in the business for close to 10 years and conducted like just under 1,000 transactions, so some like 800 transactions, somewhere about that.
Yes, my name is China Marie. I'm a developer and also a real estate agent. I've been doing it for about a year, and I have a little under $3 million in sales so far.
Yes.
My name is Anjelique Williams. My background actually is in casting and production, and so if you've ever seen Villa Vanderpump on Hulu or Later Daters on Netflix, I'm behind the camera. And I actually took those skills from Hollywood and transitioned it into real estate. So currently, myself and my partner, Dom, who's over there, say hi, Dom.
Hey, Dom.
We do community development and workforce education, and I'm also a real estate agent here in Houston. So.
Hi, I'm Erica with Dominion International Group. I manage the landlord representation for industrial and retail developments, as well as I tenant rep broker. So I work with different businesses when it comes to finding the right location for them. Beyond brokerage, I founded Legacy CRE Solutions, and that is where I consult with different business owners and I mentor agents interested in commercial real estate.
I love it. Okay, y'all, so we have a very diverse cast here, right? I feel like all of you guys do something a little different within the real estate scope. So, in your knowledge, what are some of the emerging trends that you find going on right now in the real estate industry?
You can take that one first.
Yeah, we'll just go in a circle.
Emerging trends that have gotten popular: creative strategies subject to owner financing. Owner finance wraps are very popular right now with crazy high interest rates and high cost of entry to real estate. Investors have to find more creative strategies such as subject to get into deals a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I definitely think when it comes to multifamily, being able to house hack, that's something that I personally do with my own single family. I rent out the rooms, $850, all utilities included, and it pays for my entire mortgage. I specify in duplexes specifically where you can live in one side, rent out the other, and make your profit, whether that's long-term rental or by the room for college students or traveling nurses. So being able to house hack is a huge plus, especially as a first-time home buyer. Well, I can speak to a really popular one, which is like affordable luxury homes. However, in my experience, I actually recently went to California and with a really good friend, Nisa, she had an event there. And the event actually took place in a really cool new emerging space, which is agrihoods. And an agrihood, I'm not sure if any of you heard what it is. It's actually a development space that's built around agriculture. So the restaurant and the space that we were in for that event was solely around, and the homes are built around the agriculture that's actually cultivated there. So that is something that is really cool and interesting that's coming to the real estate space that's been popping up more and more. That's kind of new.
What city was that in?
San Diego, right like 15 minutes from San Diego.
Okay, nice.
So it was really cool. Called Agrihood. Look it up. It's like you'll be like, wow. So it's popping up.
A big thing that I am seeing is a lot more suburb developers doing the more mixed-use lifestyle centers. So of course they were more predominant inside the city, and now we're seeing that those trends are now going outwards. More people want to work from home, so you see a lot of like the offices above, retail down below, and then a lot more flex, like retail spaces are flex and retail. But flex spaces now I'm being able to be like, okay, yeah, you can put that type of business in that property. And so they're saying yes, when primarily they would have said no to a type of retail business owner.
Yes. So, and I'm pretty sure all of us in this room has heard the buzzword of AI this, AI that, AI's taking your job. So how do we see these emerging trends in technology manifest in the real estate realm?
Start down there this time.
Oh, I mean, I'm using it every single day when it comes to data and analytics. What I love is that there's so many different platforms out there that can just niche down and find out so much information. So, I mean, it's data driven. Use it as to your advantage, not as like you're relying on it so much. Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of people are scared that AI will replace them, right? But I do think that there's a space for everyone and how you position yourself in that space. Myself and my team specifically, just last year or 2 years ago, when we had to do contracts, it took so long to read through the contract. And now we don't, we invest our time in other spaces and we just allow AI to kind of review the contract with our expertise. So using technology to kind of expedite that process, not shy away from it. Although I must say, AI has allowed more transparency in real estate as well, versus it could be competitive at times. However, I definitely would kind of emphasize that, like, if you're not using it, you would kind of fall behind.
For sure.
So that's
Yeah, I definitely agree that it's very data driven. It kind of also, one of the pros is that it kind of minimizes the time that you have to put into like your listing descriptions and just some things that maybe take a little bit longer. You can kind of be able to put in some filler words and it just kind of draws it out for you. So that's kind of what I use it for, because sometimes I don't not have the time, but I like to prioritize my time differently rather than sitting there and typing a couple paragraphs about that, so it kind of just minimizes the admin work that I have to do. That's not always fun. So I can be out in the field a little bit more and maximize my time.
I agree.
Yeah, very
For sure,
true.
for sure.
Very true.
Yeah, just to kind of piggyback off of what all of them said, yes, you have to adapt to it. You have to kind of be familiar with it and learn as much as you can, because if you're not doing it, you're getting left behind. So we've adapted some into our daily activities, sending out offers, offer generation. It helps a lot. And I'm actually looking into callers that actually do some of the automated follow-ups, automated cold calling and things like that. Because some of the dialers, I'm sure you guys have probably heard some of the AI talkers, and you're like, wait, is this a real person? So they've gotten very, very good. They can respond very well. And yes, I think you have to adapt to it and add it to your business in some form or fashion. It definitely helps with some of the mundane tasks, listing descriptions and things like that. But on a broader level, you can really use it to help scale some of your business that, takes a lot of time, really, or is just not the best use of your time, as she mentioned, and really use that to focus your time on more revenue generating activities. So that's what I like to use it for. I'm trying to adopt as much as I can into the AI space and helping our business, but there is always going to be a human component to it. So don't think it's going to replace everybody, because there still needs to be somebody to put that input in, or point that AI in the right direction, or give it the right input. So that's always going to be there, but yes, you do want to use it for your business.
And to kind of piggyback off what you said in terms of scaling, I think not just AI, but actual technology tools. So one thing that's really great in spaces where project management, we can't necessarily be on site, they actually have cameras that kind of view the space or does the measurements. So incorporating it that way is really great to kind of maximize and scale your business and scale developments. And it takes pictures and videos, so you can actually communicate with your contractors in real time, do end of day reports. So I think that's a really great way to incorporate technology into the real estate space as well.
Yes, and on the topic of tools, right, I want to switch gears to the money, my favorite topic. And so I want to get this, since I feel like we should all, even if we're not in the real estate field as work, I feel like we should all be interested in real estate. And by that, I mean by purchasing homes and purchasing land and investments. So what are some tools, financial tools specifically, do you think are underutilized for home buyers and land buyers?
Okay, well, I guess I'll kind of can't really speak on the home part, but the investment side, really underutilized tools. I would say like cost segregation when it comes to an investment property. I feel like that's definitely underutilized. A lot of people need to be.
Elaborate on that.
So cost segregation.
For those who don't know what it is.
Oh, sorry.
I'm lost. I'm like,
Sorry.
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
So cost segregation is like when you have like a full investment, let's say, and it's going to depreciate. They say it's going to depreciate over 39 years. You can take different parts of that investment out, like let's say like the lights, the HVAC, the plumbing, and you can depreciate that faster for more of like tax benefits. Now you don't get it like upfront, but it's like a long-term play versus the short-term play.
That was really good, actually.
Well put.
Yeah.
Write that down.
So you said tools that are actually underutilized?
Yeah,
in
it's
the
like
space?
finance tools. Like, what are tools, programs? What are some things that the average bear, like myself, would not, be readily available as knowledge for me, but is knowledge to you because this is your industry.
Right. So I think I could speak on programs, as you mentioned. So HUD has a program, and this is something that I would like to take full advantage of as well, which is FHA 203K. And what that is a program that buyers can take advantage of to purchase and also refinance the home. Buy and refinance, but refurbish, excuse me, to revitalize that home. They pay for the home and the reconstruction.
Oh, wow.
So it really is a great program if you're looking to have instant equity or in a neighborhood that is going through a transition and you want to purchase that house, but it is for yourself, not an investment property. But it's a really great program, and they kind of offer those finance.
It's a cheap hard money loan. Really.
Yeah.
It's the cheapest hard money loan you can get. So
Right.
if you guys are familiar with hard money, it's basically that. They
Yeah.
will finance the purchase price plus the rehab, but you do have to live in the property.
Correct.
I don't know if I'm just extremely ignorant, but what is hard money?
Hard money is a very expensive investment type loan that investors use to purchase a property, but they finance the part of the renovation as well. So you bring a lot less cash to close, but the interest rate is a lot higher, and you have to get out of it in like 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
Okay.
So a lot of people who want to do, I hate this term fix and flip, but for those who want to rehab homes, they would take a hard money loan with a lender to kind of do that.
Is it still 3%? Or what percentage do you have to?
So truly, it's based on what lender you're using and your credit.
Well, another tool that I guess I could say is like, SBA, so the Small Business Administration.
Great one.
I would say that this is very underutilized.
Yes.
So.
And I know China. We spoke on China's a repeat offender on the Healing Hour podcast, and we spoke a little bit on our episode about some of the tools available, and I'm forgetting which program you suggested. What was that one again?
It's the $0 down program. It's specifically mainly for duplexes. You can do a single family home with it, but it's projected in target areas that are gentrifying, right? So it's being able to finance that down payment into the loan. It's going to make your payment maybe like about 30 to 50 more a month, but it's better than bringing that, large down payment, which is going to be like that $10,000 or $15,000 down. If you have a good realtor, which I'm sure we all are, we're going to get full closing costs paid for you. The goal is to be able to bring as little as possible to the closing table. That's what I always educate my clients on. Being able to, give asking price because that's what the builder wants. Being able to know what the builder and what the buyer want is where you're going to find your sweet spot. So the $0 down program is definitely really powerful, and a lot of people don't know that. It's part of the FHA program, and it's in targeted gentrified areas such as Sunnyside Medical Center and Acres Home.
Yeah, she actually kind of took mine. I was going to talk about the FHA 203, but
That's okay. 'Cause
yeah.
it's
It's that good. It's really that good, and it is underutilized. So I guess the flip side of that is also still the FHA, and what a lot of people don't know is actually you can get a duplex or up to a fourplex on an FHA loan. So why that's a hack and why it's underutilized is if you're getting a duplex, you can for sure at least get, I don't know, half of your PITI paid for by having another tenant in there, still bring that 3 to 5% to closing, be out of pocket very little, and you have somebody paying down your principal and building equity for you in that other unit while you get to live in this one at an extreme discount. If you get 3 to 4 units, if you structure it correctly, you can really live free on that one unit and have everybody else pay your monthly obligation. So I think that's an underutilized one. Using an FHA to actually get into a small multifamily unit, a duplex up to 4 units.
That is very informational. So that brings us to our next question is, what would you all recommend for the young and the hungry and those of us who want to break into real estate? What would you recommend be like the first step in establishing that, I realize I want to buy some piece of land. Where would we start with that with someone who just does not know the process?
I would say get a mentor. Get somebody that's done it or is actively doing it. That's going to be the best one for you for sure. And do whatever you can to find value or to add value to their process, their life, etc. Because the thing about good mentors that are actually doing business is they don't want to spend time on somebody that's not invested, right? So if you show a level of interest, if you show that you can add value, or if you just show that you have a certain interest level to where you're going to be persistent, consistent, and show that effort to that individual, then they will take you along and show you the ropes. That would be my biggest advice, really. Get a mentor. If you don't know where to start, you can get on YouTube University, follow some of those guys, get a lot of free content, free information. But realistically, you probably want to find somebody local who's actually doing the business in the market that you want to work in, and do whatever you can to follow what they're doing.
I think I would say, in the words of Jay-Z, credit.
I love
Credit.
Jay-Z.
Jay-Z, he mentioned
My
credit. So credit is vital when it comes to, I guess, entering the real estate space and investing. Well, any real estate transaction really, but in investing especially. Why is that important? Simply because making sure that you have the credit criteria of what the lender, whatever specific lender. Now, different lenders have different criteria. But as you mentioned earlier, like hard money lenders, a lot of first-time investors tend to go that way initially. But having the proper credit score really determines so much. How you borrow the money, what your interest rates are, ensuring that if you don't have enough funds, you can maybe have to reconsider and do a joint venture and partner with someone on that investment. So I would definitely say credit and getting your credit right is number one step. But second to that, leading up, is okay, once you establish, you're like, hey, I know I need to get my credit right, but say it's not there yet. Find out what that lender's criteria is. Do research. I mean, lenders that we use, Flipco Financial, Park Place Financial, they have certain lending criteria, and when you find out what that score is, you can actually start working towards that number. If you have that number already, they're going to offer you lending options and financing options to be able to invest in whatever project you're working on. If you don't meet that criteria while you're working on it, you could then find someone else. Say, hey, you have the money, let's figure out how we can partner and leverage each other. Bring some skills to the table and kind of work on that as a joint venture. That's definitely something that I would recommend for someone who's new in this space and kind of novice to the whole money process.
I would say, kind of going back to both of kind of what they said already. Yes, when I first started real estate, I fell on my face a lot, and that goes back to the right mentorship. So I think you hit it on key. And then as you said too, investing with somebody, joint venture, you can JV, we have syndication. There's so many ways that you can, pull your money together. There's crowdfunding. Just Google that. I don't want to dive down that hole right now. But so like there's so many different ways where you can take like you said, maybe they don't have the credit, right? Sometimes there's a lot of ways that you can invest and you don't have to worry even about credit. Like you just have to have the right people around you and say, here's my 30,000. Let me know. It might be a long-term play, but it's one of those things where go just make sure everything's in writing.
Yeah.
So, make sure everything's in writing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think just narrowing down what aspect of real estate you even want to do, right? Credit's great, saving money is great, but there's so many different aspects. Are you looking to build from ground up? Are you looking to do new construction? Is it resale? Is it fix and flips? Like, what is it that you're looking to do? And then being able to pinpoint, and learn that specific area so that way you can branch off. For me exactly, like I wanted to do multifamily. I wanted to do fix and flip. I wanted to do new construction. And so I started with a lot first, figured out how to buy the land wholesale so I could get it for a lower price. I found a partner that does new construction and I was able to partner with them and them show me the ropes on the way to building a ground up duplex. So I think just finding out what you want to do first and then building from there because real estate is so big and there's so many different ways you can do about it. So just finding one thing that you want to start with is always super helpful.
So, in real estate, if someone is coming in with an interest, but they have limited capital, what would you suggest them do? Would you suggest them, get their own house first, get an investment first, do a condo, do a house, get a plot of land? Like, what would be your personal suggestion if somebody came to you with, hey, I don't have the most capital, but I want to start on my real estate investing journey?
Yeah, you can always find somebody to partner with, as they mentioned, right? You do have to find some value. My first couple fix and flip deals, I brought zero money out of pocket. Now, my story is a little different because I'd worked 4 years for a wholesale brokerage prior to even wanting to do my first fix and flip, right? So, going back to the value thing and adding some sort of value to the equation, I knew how to find deals at a discount, right? So that was my value add proposition. I can find them. I can manage the contractors, and then I can resell it for you at a discount as well. So I kind of packaged it all up in one, sourced some private money, and was able to basically get my first couple flips with zero money out of pocket. So you do have to find some sort of value add that you're going to bring to the table because nobody's going to give you money for nothing, right? Nobody is just going to say, hey, here's $100,000 on a hope and a dream, and I hope you make some money out of it, right? So you do want to, again, provide some sort of value, figure out what that is for you, right? Maybe it's you can spend the sweat equity to go find the deal. Maybe you can actually manage the project for that individual. Maybe you're the realtor and you're going to do a little bit of everything, right? But find out what that value proposition is for yourself, and then that makes it easier to go pitch that to whoever it is that you're trying to bring in on the deal.
Yeah, for me it was what they call JVing or daisy chaining a deal, taking someone that maybe already has a wholesale deal, and I was able to make connections with builders or developers that need lots. I wasn't great at necessarily finding the direct seller, but I was able to have the end buyer where I was able to still make the income as being the middleman situation. And so being able to save up in that realm helped me save up for my first new construction, and I was able to scale very quickly because of that. So I think just finding where you can make kind of some quick cash, even if it's like a side hustle, like there's nothing wrong with even like being a bartender or something like that that's maybe outside of real estate to be able to hustle up some cash to invest in real estate. So it doesn't always have to be making money in real estate to get money or to get capital, because I've been a waitress before as well and been able to save up. So I think that just trying all your options and being able to be humble enough to start and then enable the money into an LLC so that you have some paperwork with money.
Yeah. No, I mean, very true. Like they said, just finding what you want to do. Don't just worry about, oh, this person did this and they made this amount of money, so I think that's what I'm gonna do. It's really like, what's the long-term, again, goal? Like, where do you see yourself? Not just what Bob's doing, or it goes back to like, what do you want to do? What kind of is already like fueling you is gonna keep you going to want to learn more. And like they said too, like, what's your value with it, and how can you provide that value?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think we need to say it 4 times over.
Yeah.
But overall, I will
people in
say,
the back.
Right. I just think like, hey, from my own personal experience, I truly believe like making sure you do have a strategy.
Yeah.
Figuring out what avenue you want to take and executing on that strategy. I mean, personal experience, we had myself and my significant other, he had savings and I had a little bit of savings. A little bit. But we leveraged our credit, truly. So we were able to take out a small loan, nothing big, but also we did go through a hard money lender. I know you mentioned, you're like, but we did use a hard money lender on the first go. So we were able to kind of get money from them, and then that was enough to put our down payment, get the house, and the construction costs. So we did it, and it was a great deal.
So I know we love to talk about our wins, right? And we love to talk about how much money can be made in our industry. But one thing that people aren't forewarned about is the losses that you take in your industries. Because I mean, with any industry, right? If it has a possibility for a win, you have a possibility for a loss as well. So when you're investing this capital and this credit, and you're investing this time, and you do have to take a hit, how do you recuperate from that?
I can speak on that one. So yeah, I've done close to, I want to say 40 flips, and I've lost money on about 5 of them. So I think an average for a lot of investors that, at that time, I was flipping during COVID, so it was really great. Obviously in the beginning of COVID, and then a year and a half and into the market that we're in currently, the flipping side started to shift. So I saw that, and one property comes to mind. I bought one in Spring Branch. It was in a flood zone. I put some work into it, and the market had started to shift. So I had done the roof, the foundation, windows. So I'd spent like 30 grand on the property already, in addition to what I paid for it. And I saw the market start to shift. The comps weren't necessarily showing, what I wanted. And so I cut ties. I immediately listed it. I think I lost like 40,000, and I hadn't even finished the flip. So fast forward to the investor that bought it. He finished the renovation, listed it for sale. He hit like the target initially on what it should have sold for, but then that buyer fell out of contract. So then I saw him list it for rental, and ended up getting a tenant in there, which kind of told me I made the right decision, right? So with losses, it's easy to kind of hold on to deals, especially when you're heavily invested in them and you just want to make it into the green or into the black, however you want to look at it. But what I've learned is, especially in this sort of market, when I'm flipping, I try to take the first viable offer that I get. The velocity of money right now to me is very, very important, to where, yeah, I might be able to get 10K more if I sit on market for another 30, 60, 90 days, but then I might also get 10K less. So what is that value really, right? So something I've learned over the years, and having gone through that many flips, is whenever you see a loser or it's becoming a loser, you just gotta let it go and take that L and put that money back into something else. So that would be my advice. Hopefully you guys don't go through too much of that in your own investing journeys, but as I mentioned, like real estate investing, it is speculative. There is a risk of loss. Everyone is not going to be a winner. So when you come across that, just cut ties and don't lose sleep over it.
That's good advice. Cut ties and don't lose sleep over it. And that carries on the writing industry.
Right.
That's a life lesson right there.
Yeah, right.
So true.
So I think that actually speaks to the art of the pivot, right? Just learning how to pivot, when to pivot, and get out of Dodge. You mentioned like in terms of like loss. So I wouldn't necessarily say a loss, because you can always gain something through that experience, right? I'm sure you've gained a lot. But ensuring that you're partnering with the right people is extremely important, not only just to the real estate deal, but like the business. Contractors. I've had, so an investment property in the past that we've done, we've done all our due diligence in terms of vetting this contractor. He even took us to a few properties, like 5 properties, like, oh, okay, we see your work. We called his references. He checked off all the boxes. However, he did some work on our property, and we had to do it twice over. So you can imagine that's time and money. Now, we went to his other properties. We were like, he checks out. We saw his work. It was great. We saw his team there on time. So you would be like, well, what happened? Well, checking under the hood, when it comes to construction and with the city of Houston, the permitting center, they have a site project docs where you get your permits and stuff. And well, we looked him up. Well, we actually transitioned away from him because he wasn't doing the greatest job. So we took the project into our own hands and under our name. And once we actually looked under the hood and we saw, turns out he only had 3 projects that were actually permitted. Mind you, the reference, oh, he's so great, he's done tons of projects, over 300 projects on Thumbtack, so you really got to do your due diligence, because that was a loss on our part. We thought we did all the vetting that we could. I mean, from production in my background, I vet. I interview people all day, so I kind of get to learn the psychology about it. But he really, and that's the industry sometimes. There's some real slicksters out there. So
Dirty.
yeah, I mean, but that's okay, because that pivot was, hey, let's cut ties with this guy. Let's go ahead and take this into our own hands and bring an upswing on this and try to recoup what we can. Although we had to redo the tile in the bathroom twice, but.
Oh yeah, permitting.
Yes.
Yes. That's something I'm dealing with right now with a client of mine. Is basically a $20,000 job that luckily she's not responsible for, and that's where having good agents and brokers come into play. But situation with permitting and not being able to open up her business in time, and that could have essentially, without my help, they were trying to push that on her. But just because the contract's signed doesn't mean that it's done. It doesn't mean that a deal is done. There can still be some type of play. So the landlord is taking on that expense to bring it back to what it needs to be, to the standards, so that then she can open up her business. So permitting is, and that's something again, where you say how do I learn from that? Where it's hard when you see one site plan and and then that's not the one that was actually then approved. So it's one of those things where you can't actually go to the city, and get and say for me only hey, I want access to all the plans and everything like that to this property. It's no, it doesn't work like that. You can't get the MVP plans. So just more due diligence, maybe more digging, maybe more discovery. That's all I can try to push to do more.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, I wanted to do my first fix and flip, and I heard about what a hard money loan was, and I was excited. I didn't understand the terms. I didn't understand what points were. I didn't understand the interest rates. I was just excited that I found a property that was under market value, and I was like, okay, I ran the Bank of America, put my earnest money down, and I didn't realize that when it's 75-25 loan to value, that meant that you had to pay that at closing. I thought that that's what you paid when the house sold. And so I was on YouTube University, living my best life, making all this money, and I was like, I'm next.
They didn't have this panel to let them nap.
And I had just moved here from Atlanta, so I was very green. I didn't know people. I put my earnest money down, and my agent was like, okay, so are you ready to pay that 25%? And I was like, of what? And she was like, of the house. And I was like, wait, that's due in 20 days? And she was like, yeah. I was like, oh, I thought that was when it sold. And she was like, no. And I was like, we're speaking 2 different languages. And so I was just was so sad because I didn't understand the terms, but I also didn't ask enough questions because I thought that I didn't want to ask them questions. It seemed like I didn't know something. And that's what drove me to get my license, not because I wanted to be the greatest agent with buyers and sellers, but because I wanted to understand what things meant so that I wouldn't run into that situation again. And so that's why I always take the time to learn every part of the industry, not because I want to be, an agent or a wholesaler or what have you. I want to be a developer and a builder, and that's what I'm becoming, but understanding each person's roles is really, really important because that's how you know how you have a good agent versus a great agent. Or a good wholesaler versus a great wholesaler. So being able to understand the terms of a hard money loan is really important because I had just bought a house, and if I had just went through with that, I don't know if I'd have my house, right? So it's really, really tricky when it comes to hard money. And yes, you can make a lot of money, but you can also lose a lot of money if you really don't understand those terms.
Recourse versus non-recourse. Look into that if you don't know.
What is that? Now I'm interested.
Juan, you want to help me out? Juan? Got a lender in the back here.
Come on, Juan. What you gotta say?
It basically just means they can come after your personal assets or anything else in that particular LLC, or they can't, or they can just go after that particular property that you're getting the loan on.
So Juan's the repo man.
Yes.
Okay.
Could be.
Oh,
Might
no.
be.
I'm not gonna get on Juan's bad side. Not getting on his bad side. Come from
So
my
then,
LLC.
do you recommend every time you purchase a flip, you purchase it under a different LLC?
Yeah, that's one way to do it, or you can just make sure the lender is doing a non-recourse loan, which a lot of them do.
Yeah, that's not gonna help you because you personally guarantee the loan.
You personally
Yeah,
get it for
exactly.
it.
Either way, so.
Yeah.
They're still coming to you.
You got a question over here?
Hey guys.
Hey,
So
girl.
I think it's China, right? I think we're speaking the same language. So I haven't really said it out loud much. I'm kind of nervous, but I am an upcoming developer, right? But I have no interest in being a realtor at all. I don't really want to go to real estate school, but I am nervous. I'm at the point where I have the lot, I've got the contractors, I've got everything I need. The loan is like right here, it's just waiting on my let's go. But I feel like I'm not knowledgeable enough, and I'm going to make a mistake like that. I know you were saying you decided to go to school. If you didn't, what would be the best way to find out the ins and outs of development without doing that? I just have so much on my plate already. I'm like, I cannot ask them.
Yes, I think getting a great real estate agent that understands the development part, that understands not just, first-time home buyers or relocation specialists, someone that understands how to buy an off-market lot, knows builders, knows contractors, knows how to do permitting, understands that part of real estate. That's completely different than buying a house that comes with the washer and dryer, right? So it's a different perspective, and being able to have someone that has that knowledge. If I had that, then maybe I wouldn't have gotten my license, right? But because I didn't have that and I was new to Houston, I was like, let me just start here, right? And real estate school doesn't necessarily teach you those things. It just allowed me to have access to the MLS and kind of get my feet wet, right? And I was able to meet more people out here because I was new. But if I was in your shoes, I would just get with someone like myself, that understands the ins and outs and can kind of pinpoint you and partner with you more so on what next steps would be, right?
Call China.
So give me a call. Yeah.
We're gonna go over how to find these folks afterward if you need them. So one more gloomy question before we lighten up the mood a little bit. So on the track of losses, right? I'm pretty sure in your industry, like all industries, there's a slow season. So, from my limited knowledge of the real estate world, I know that it's not always just closing deals. It may be you're selling, especially in your first year, maybe you sold one house, maybe in a year. So how do you keep up with the ebb and flows and keeping up with your bills? And how do you stay afloat? How do you stay optimistic during those slow seasons where you're not seeing the fruits of your labor yet?
Ooh, that is really good. So I will tell you this, real estate, and I know he's going to contest this. After being years in the industry, there's ups and downs. And you have your good years, and at first, those few years are kind of tough. Man, you don't really know what you don't know. So the best thing that I found out over the past years is that you got to prospect more. You got to look at your internal systems and organizations and start fine-tuning that. If you have the time where you're not, working in your business, then you need to work on your business.
I agree.
I agree.
So technically when you say down, I don't believe in a down season. It's kind of like the NFL, right? During their off season, they're still training. They're still doing all of the things to, for the agility and all of that.
Yeah.
So just like you mentioned, ensuring that you're working on your systems and, kind of building, getting more exposure, coming to events like this, networking, expanding your network. There was definitely a touch point I wanted to mention as well, which was, so during a off season, correct? Sorry to say, but you did mention how do you keep the lights on?
Yeah, that's the thing. 'Cause, you can't cut a check on those dreams,
Right.
I can't tell the landlord, hey,
Right, absolutely.
I'm on a come up. I ain't seen it yet, but it's coming.
Right.
Believe in me.
To be realistic, I still have my casting job. You know, I am a casting producer, so that brings the income in terms of money because real estate is a long-term game. And it's not going to be every day you have a client that you can close on a multi-million-dollar house or $200,000 house. So, you know, if you're just starting out or whether you're seasoned, sometimes picking up that side job is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Instagram makes it seem like, oh, I'm the best realtor in the world, or, you know, you're constantly closing deals. But in that off season, better yourself. If you have to pick up a job, pick up a job. Like, you know, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, for me, I'm extremely transparent. I work as a bartender and server 2 days a week out of the week. It really, I went from 5 days and then now I'm at 2 days. So I work my way down. That's how I started. That's how I made my bread and butter, is how I bought my house, you know. And so I think that just being really transparent on Instagram, obviously I'm doing great. I have a great presence. I put all my money behind ads, about making my content really, you know, authentic, and it gravitates to people. I don't bait. I really give real gems and real knowledge, and I think that authenticity really speaks to people. So I don't believe in the slow season at all. You know, I have no problem being a waitress and then coming out and killing it in real estate. I do a great job with my negotiations. I kill it in this industry, and I can't wait till I can give up them 2 days, baby. You know what I'm saying? So I say just keep powering through. You know, I mean, worst case maybe I get a little sugar daddy, a little sugar mama. They might buy a house. They might buy a house. They might develop something.
Yeah.
They buy a market shop. Where they at?
Yep.
Pass it to you, girl. Exactly. What's their information?
It's
I'm gonna get with you after. I'm gonna get up with you, girl. But congratulations with China and getting down from those 5 days to those 3 days and still being optimistic about the rest of those 2 days.
Yeah.
It's a hustler mentality.
I mean, listen, like that extra like $800 in those 2 days that I can make as a waitress, like it's extra money, right? I always look at it as like an extra lease. So if I can't do 2 leases, okay, well I still made the money and I can still have the money to put behind my closing videos to make them get that Versace robe and make it really, really big and pop bottles and get a videographer. Right. Where some people are just getting the balloons with the Swiffer suite. That's not me. And that's nothing wrong with that. But I'm not the Swiffer suite for gift basket type of girl. I'm the Versace popper, you know.
She's a Versace queen.
One small note to actually what you're saying is, you know, real estate is a people's business, right?
Correct.
So you can find clients anywhere.
Yes.
At work, you know, or whatever. If you're an entrepreneur and you run your own business, that connection, that could be your next deal. You know, that could be your next JV. So literally in the grocery store, I find people all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, like,
It's not about where you're at, it's about where you're going.
exactly.
That's
So,
my mindset.
and popping bottle service, hey, they're spending the money, so they
got
come
the
over here and
funds.
invest. Yeah, exactly. So.
Yeah, down seasons in real estate. How do you manage them? So I guess I'm going to shameless plug myself here a little bit. The reason I chose the investment side and the wholesale side was partially based in that. It is based in the fact that in an up or down market, it's good for the investing side. And what I mean by that is a good market, so to speak, was COVID, right? So COVID was a good market for selling homes, but not necessarily for buying because there was, you know, a lot of competition, limited inventory, so to speak. But me flipping homes during that time, knowing how to, you know, find deals still, we were selling over what the ARV was or what the price should have been, you know, in an after repair value sort of situation. So to me, that's why I love the wholesale side. Even in a down market like this, so to speak, it just means there's more opportunities for a heavier discount, right? Because right now everything is sitting on the market. Sellers are understanding that this isn't the market it was a year ago or a year and a half ago, and that $200,000 that I wanted is more like a 150 right now. And so they're coming down to reality, and what that means is for those who are willing to take that sort of risk, so to speak, or purchase these properties where the outlook isn't necessarily, you know, sunshine and rainbows on the flip side, it does leave opportunity to get properties at a discount. So that was kind of a roundabout way of talking about wholesaling, but you know, on a more practical note, when it comes to staying vigilant and positive in those down seasons. I like the analogy that you used about the off season and football. That's really what it is. If you are at a lack of, business or, things to do within your business, you can always be working on something else, working on your self-improvement, working on why you have a lack of business. Is it the market, or do you need to improve your sales skills? Do you need to improve your prospecting? Do you need to improve your social media, right? So all of these things factor in, and I would say, in a down season, just work on yourself, work on the parts of the business that you can control, and you'll see that pay off in the future.
I want to add something real quick too. I also want to say that when you have your up season, to be smart during your up season.
There you go.
Just because you're up, don't mean that
Save
you need
that.
the Louis Vuitton.
Stop.
You don't need all that stuff. Like, just because if you have to learn the difference between wants and needs, especially like when you're just starting off, and it can be very hard first. You're like, oh man, here's a check for $45,000, and you're like, yay! But you gotta be strategic, because you could have those 2 or 3 months where you're not closing anything. So be smart with your finances and go, okay, and it's okay to say no to people. Like, hey, I can't do that.
Or get a sponsor for Dubai.
Where are y'all finding this? Where are y'all finding this shirt at?
I'm just kidding. My
Let me
sponsor's
know.
right there.
Damn. Why y'all being stingy? My next question: where are we finding them? And can I deliver? Do you need a buddy to go with you?
Yes, I do.
We don't talk.
So if I'm not working those 2 days, I know.
Let me know what hour pays, because I need my first duplex. And I do not want to pay for it. So on the topic of buying, what are some tax advantages that your average Joe or your average Joanne, we're not discriminating here, wouldn't know about in real estate?
Repeat the question one more time. Types of what?
So
That they would
types
know
of
about?
tax advantages.
Oh, types of tax
Tax
advantages.
That we just
Okay,
wouldn't
perfect.
know unless we're in the real estate world.
Yeah, cost seg analysis is a big one, especially if you have rental properties or basically anything except for flips. You can do a cost seg analysis on, so things that you're holding long term. The loan on the interest payments on the loan that you make for a rental property are also tax deductible, and those are the two that come to mind for my rentals at least.
I would say from being like a landlord, that's what I, promote. Is being able to write off a lot of it when it comes to if you're doing like by the room rental or co-living spaces. You can write off a lot of the expenses that it goes into either furnishings or also just the upkeep of it, whether it's cleaning or just the maintenance of it, landlord insurance. There's a lot of different things that you can write off if you do midterm rentals or short-term rentals, Airbnb, Vrbo. So a lot of things you can write off. And then also, I just feel like, of course, it's homestead. That's where you obviously are living in one side or renting the other, or it's your primary residence essentially. Once you complete and pay your taxes, then you do get a check at the end of the year for homestead exempt.
Yeah. So for the investing side, utilizing 1031 exchange, where you can actually roll over your profits into bigger projects. That way, it's kind of like tax deferred in a way. But for our business, we're actually looking for a tax advisor to kind of, educate us more on like tax.
Smooth it out.
And stuff. Yeah. So we're looking.
Another one is opportunity funds. So investing in different opportunity funds or different opportunity zones. But yeah, I would say putting your the cap gains that you get maybe from like the extra from the 1031 into like an opportunity fund. So.
Awesome. And this was all just so insightful, but before we leave, this wouldn't be a panel if we didn't ask the standard panel question, which you hear on every single panel. What advice would you give your younger self in real estate?
You take that one first, Erica.
Oh man. So many. I mean, mentorship. Yeah, mentorship. Asking questions. Don't ask just to just be like, okay, I'm just gonna ask this question, but actually actively listening to that person's response and taking their advice in, and not thinking that essentially that you know it all. Because when we are younger and we're thinking, they were like, oh, we'll just Google search it, right? Or we'll just ask ChatGPT. But asking from others with knowledge and then listening to understand, not just to respond.
You may have to circle back to me because I'm thinking about my younger self and what she would say to me today.
Baby China. What would Baby China need to know?
I would say for me it was when you do get in the game, when it comes to being an agent, I speak to a lot of newer agents. Getting on teams was a huge one for me. Splits are really high, you know, and sometimes you don't necessarily get the mentorship that you want because of that split. Also with teams, I had an issue with it going under that team lead's name, which is kind of pigeonholing a new agent because it looks as if you've sold nothing. If the first 5 go in that person's name and then you give 60%, I mean, you've given half of your bread away, right? So it can be really challenging to kind of build up as a new agent. So for me, making sure that the splits are right, making sure that the mentorship is right, and I treat it like a hard money loan. You know, like the team, if that's going to be the split, then we're going to get in and get out. You'll learn real quick. You'll learn real quick when you get that $10,000 check and you get $4,000 and you still got to pay 25 to 30% on taxes. I mean, you're left with like $2,500 and you did all the work.
Yeah,
and you didn't get any credit. So
Yes.
I can't be giving them my credit and my bread and not getting nothing from it. So
That's enough.
being able to understand the terms and being able to go out and be a solo agent is so important. Just because you got that piece of paper at that date does not mean that you can't go out and hustle and make it happen. So don't let anybody think that they can take anything from you.
Don't do it.
Love that, love that. Ooh, if I was talking to my younger self, I would probably tell him to save for the downs. Like she was talking about when you have your ups, right? One of the things about wholesaling is it's fast in, fast out, right? So you get that deal, you're making $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, it's fast money in, you think it's gonna be there every single month after that. You're like, bam, oh, I could do this. That was easy, right? And so that's one of I won't say it was a challenge, but I definitely could have saved a little better and budgeted a little more. When I first went independent, I was flipping a bunch of houses, was making very good money during COVID, and could have definitely reinvested that money to get my business further along than I am right now if I would have had that expertise in the past.
These are all such good advice. I know I'm not in the real estate realm, but one advice I give myself, if I was just looking at myself playing and effing around when I was in 2nd grade, I would start saving for my house. Cause like, golly, even since I moved to Houston 8 years ago, it's been up.
Yeah, crazy.
The market has been, you know, I moved here when Houston was a cheap city.
Right.
And it's relatively cheap compared to your New Yorks. And your Cali.
Yeah.
But, yeah, damn. All right. So if our panelists could just let us know where we can find you.
You can find me on Instagram at Erica_CRE. And yeah, LinkedIn, Erica Whittington. Facebook, Erica Whittington. Yeah, I keep the same name for everything.
So you can find me on all socials, all social platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Miss Realtorpreneur, and also my personal Instagram where I kind of do more of the production and casting side, which is a.mademoiselle on Instagram.
Yeah, mine is just simple. It's China Marie Invest, China with an I, not a Y.
Instagram, Facebook, and I have a TikTok. I'm not dancing on it. Don't worry.
Oh, man.
Not yet. I get enough likes.
Just
I don't know.
try it.
We'll see.
Just do it.
Shaka Daniel, REI, is in real estate investing. SHAKA Daniel, DANIEL.
And thank y'all so much for participating in this panel today. I know I've learned so much. I hope you all have learned so much. Thank you. If we could just give it up for these guys.